My name is Jordan Bennett, and the piece that I have in the show is called Re-appropriating the Wheel. It's based off of Marcel Duchamp's wheel that he had done in 1913. And at that time, the piece was an art changer, I would say. It was the birth of the ready-made artwork, which gave a lot of the artists today the chance to use materials that are already made and reappropriate those pieces and turn them into new artworks. So in Newfoundland around that time, in say 1913, a lot of people would be doing this anyways, because at that time Newfoundland, which is the most easterly province of Canada, wasn't part of Canada. It was its own country, so it was so hard to get these different things. So when you acquired certain things, you didn't want to throw them away, you wanted to give them new life. So if you went to anybody's front yard, like your uncle or your grandfather, you'd see all these objects, but they were rearranged somehow, and they were turned into like they gave it new life. It was like a new sculpture, or they would turn, like old bottles into, I don't know, like a wind chime or anything like that. And what that was called in Newfoundland was just folk art. So the piece itself, it deals with the idea of the ready-made and its connection to Newfoundland and folk art, and around, like I said, around that time. It also deals with how any culture, it takes so long to make an image for itself, something that you can look at it and be like, oh, that's like evidently Aboriginal, and in this case, a dream catcher, and how consumer cultures picks up on it and reappropriates these things, like the dream catcher. Every time you buy a dream catcher now, it's never usually made in Canada. It's always made in China sticker on the back of it. So what I did with this piece, I added the made in China feathers to give that aesthetic. But the dream catcher part of it is actually woven with moose sinew. So the moose sinew is the guts, the intestines, and the skin of the animal, and stretched out, and then that would be used for clothing. So it's a reference back to taking what you have from the land and reusing it over. The original stool for Marcel Duchamp's piece was a wooden stool, but what I had done is the stool that I used is a fold-up stool that you can get, that you would see at a powwow. So in traditional gatherings, you have these dances and different ceremonies, but a lot of times elders are a big part of it. Elders are a big part of Aboriginal culture, and it should be in any culture. So just as if you were getting onto a subway and then there's an elderly person there, you'd get up and give them your seat. This is the same idea, is that this stool is a kind of stool that you would find, at your local hardware store. But if an elder was tired at a powwow, you as a youth would go get this chair, or you'd give them your seat. So it's kind of a sign of respect, and it's a sign of respecting your elders. And just as I'm respecting artists that came before me and inspired me for this piece, per se, this is what I did for this piece.